Okay, let's just jump right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating psychological dynamic that honestly happens in almost every social setting. We've all been there, right? Sitting in a seemingly endless meeting, at a loud dinner party, or just a crowded room, kind of just watching the social dynamics play out. But today, we're going to laser focus our attention on someone very specific, the absolute quietest person in that room. I mean, have you ever been in a room where absolutely everyone is talking over each other, yet the most capable, brilliant person there stays completely silent? It's a total paradox. And honestly, it trips up a lot of people. Because, well, from the outside looking in, this kind of behavior is incredibly easy to misinterpret. So, our main goal for this explainer is to decode this exact behavior. We're going to uncover the high level mental tasks behind that quiet demeanor. And honestly, if you've ever felt like an outsider in a super loud conversation, I'm here to tell you that you aren't socially awkward. No, you're simply wired differently. We're going to look at the actual science and psychology behind the silent genius, exploring why highly intelligent individuals so often just opt out of the chatter. All right, part one, the silent genius misunderstood. This dynamic brilliantly illustrates the classic iceberg effect. See, on the surface, when someone isn't talking, the rest of the group is so quick to label them as shy, totally checked out, disinterested, or even arrogant. But the reality beneath that surface, it's an incredibly active mind operating deep underwater. That quietness isn't an absence of thought. It's actually the exact opposite. It's the presence of high-level mental processing. They aren't speaking because, while their brain is literally busy performing complex tasks that most people don't even realize are happening. Moving on to part two, the cost of small talk. The absolutely crucial point here is that highly intelligent minds do not treat all information equally. Instead, they use what psychologists call selective organization. Think about it. The human brain, no matter how powerful it is, has a limited amount of cognitive bandwidth. You simply can't deeply process every single stimulus in a loud, chaotic room. So the silent genius intentionally reallocates their mental energy into what truly matters, completely ignoring the rest. They funnel it toward deeper thoughts or problem solving instead of spending it on filler conversation. So what looks like being disengaged to the group is actually a total masterclass in mental efficiency. You see, social noise is mentally expensive because these individuals are hardwired to seek depth and layered thinking. Running through basic social scripts feels incredibly draining. A lot of high IQ folks have a really deep-seated dislike for small talk. While others might feel perfectly at home chatting about daily routines or, the latest office gossip, the highly intelligent mind struggles to find any meaning there. It lacks the abstract thinking their brains absolutely crave. So they usually just stay completely quiet until the topic shifts to something complex. And then boom, suddenly they're extremely engaged. Which brings us to part three, running background mental simulations. So while the rest of the group is just talking and reacting, the silent individual is quietly examining every angle, every detail, utilizing a fascinating process called cognitive complexity. Basically, they are running constant analytical processing right in the background. Their brain is actively collecting separate signals from the room, like a slight tone of voice over here, a tiny piece of data over there, and connecting them all into a much larger pattern. They are literally building a complete world picture in their head before they even consider opening their mouths. When you look at these two states side by side, the group reacting in real time versus the silent genius running background analytics, you can totally see why this gets mistaken for indecisiveness. The group is moving fast, impulsively reacting to whatever's being said, but the quiet mind, they're simply choosing accuracy over speed. They're gathering maximum info and running mental simulations to find the best possible outcome. They are totally fine letting the group rush ahead just to make sure their eventual contribution is perfectly calculated. All right, part four, the power of pausing. People with higher intelligence habitually pause, even if it's just for a few brief seconds, to practice what's known as cognitive control before they react. So instead of responding instantly to every single prompt, question, or provocation, they hit the brakes. This deliberate pause is absolutely key. It allows the logical thinking part of their brain to step in and successfully override any immediate knee-jerk emotional impulses. This perfectly highlights the difference between survival mode and reasoning mode in social settings. The loud room, it's often stuck in survival mode, reacting quickly and impulsively to whatever happens next. Meanwhile, the quiet person has successfully shifted gears into a really powerful reasoning mode.
By using that cognitive pause, they drastically improve their judgment and logic. And honestly, this is exactly why, when the silent genius finally does speak, their contribution is usually super powerful and just cuts right through all that surrounding noise.
Moving to part 5, observing instead of judging. I absolutely love this quote from our source material. Judging shuts down thinking, while observing sharpens it. It just perfectly captures why they use group settings to interpret data rather than cast judgments. A truly sharp mind inherently understands this. The second you judge a situation or a person, your brain essentially stops taking in new information. But when you simply observe, your thinking sharpens. Highly intelligent people use group settings not to put people in neat little boxes, but to really watch behavioral patterns unfold. And that kind of observation is a true hallmark of social intelligence. They are noticing absolutely everything. They're asking what motivates people's actions, spotting hidden flaws in an argument, and identifying inefficiencies or subtle injustices that everyone else completely misses. But as you can probably imagine, this constant high-level awareness is exhausting. It's a massive mental drain, which is yet another huge reason why they stay quiet. They literally need to protect their mental space just to process the sheer volume of data they're pulling from the room. Finally, part 6, driven by internal standards. Because their self-worth comes from an internal locus of evaluation, they completely lack that biological urge to perform or be the center of attention. They're judging themselves by their own personal, rigorous standards rather than constantly seeking external validation or public recognition. They literally don't need the group's applause to feel valued. So they just don't feel the urge to speak up simply for the sake of being seen or heard. Which really brilliantly reframes their entire silence. Valuing authentic interaction over those superficial spotlight moments isn't a weakness. It's a sign of profound independence, deep reflection, and total emotional balance. If you're the person who stays quiet, please don't ever mistake your silence for a lack of intelligence, and definitely don't let anyone tell you you're just antisocial. You're carrying a mind that rarely rests, constantly seeking the deeper why behind the world. So, to wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a final thought to chew on. The next time you step into a noisy, chaotic room, ask yourself, if you're the loud one, are you misjudging the quietest person in the room? Or maybe, if you're the quiet one, are you underestimating the incredible power of your own cognitive pause? Silence is rarely empty, you know? It's usually full of answers. Keep observing, keep processing, and use that mental bandwidth to its absolute fullest. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep exploring the hidden depths of the minds around you.